Yay, how does it get even better than this? Okay, so I want to start by asking Tony, how did you become a breath worker, and what was the beginning like for you, and what was attractive to you to start doing breath work?
Well, breath work came to me. It wasn't like I was aware of it or seeking it out. So in July of '79, massage buddy went to get a massage, and the woman rebirthed him. He came home immediately and rebirthed me. That was a Wednesday. And then Friday, 2 days later, we were in Hoboken, New Jersey at a rebirthing weekend with 40 people in an artist loft. And it was launched from there. I was immediately seen in a different way and gotten through different eyes and voted in as a breath worker, which was all much of a surprise to me. But I went home, and for 9 months, 1 weekend a month, Bob Mandel and another woman came down and led a rebirthing weekend in my home, which caused me to keep records and keep connected with people. I didn't know what center managering was, and that was the start of it. Staying connected with the participants, keeping records, names, phone numbers, and the contact. And then after 9 months, I kept going to New York for my breathwork sessions and teachings. Probably the next 5 years, I slept in a bunk bed in the village. On top, it's amazing. It was so alternative and different for me than what was going on in my life. You know, this life and family and my ethnic background. So it started from there and continued. And this year is 39 years, this month. July of 18 is 39 years.
Amazing. Congratulations on that.
Yes.
So right off the bat, let's get clarity and clarify to folks, like, what kind of breath work are we talking about? There are many, and breath work is actually becoming mainstream, and there are many different types out there. So when I promote my classes, I always say circular connected breathing, and I do call myself a breath worker. So can you clarify a little bit about like what the name rebirthing means, and what kind of breath work do you practice and do you teach?
Circular connected breathing. So for me, it started as rebirthing, the founder being Leonard Orr, but most of my teachings, all of my teachings in the beginning years were through Sandra Ray and Bob Mandel and the loving relationship training. So it gave a body of work in a professional setting and presentation. So there were large groups of people all the time. There were center managers from all over the world in that startup of the 80s. So it was rebirthing breath work. They didn't call it conscious connected breathing for some years, but the word means change. Mm-hmm. And the classic rebirthing breath work, the original, was done without any kind of mantra, no candles, no holding your breath, no bandhas, just finding that circle of pulling on the inhale, relaxing on the exhale in a continuous way. And it was much more dramatic in the beginning because we didn't know any better. And they didn't know fully the effects of the magnitude of what was happening, how it was changing things, making our lives less dense, more forward, and having a group of people that were like-minded in choosing to be here, choosing life, choosing a conscious lifestyle. That was so new for me. I had no idea that that existed, that I had options. And this work in the 80s showed me options with community. So rebirthing is about the breath, is about creative thought, being aware of our thoughts and changing them, and about community. Made all the difference.
Thank you. So, so the breath work, circular connected breathing, one of the benefits is change, right? To promote change.
The word means change.
The word means change and renew and seeing the world in a different way, right? Every time you practice it. What else would you say, what are more benefits of circular connected breathing?
It supports your intention to heal. Okay, so I'm aware that I've got something going on, whether it be sabotaging my success, whether it be anger issues or the fact that I might be sad all the time. So if I go to a breath coach, somebody's coming on, yay. If I go to a breath coach and state my desire to address a particular issue, say my uncomfortable with my ethnics, with the ancestry I grew up with, that's addressed in the breathing. All things can be addressed in the breathing, because rebirthing in the beginning is therapeutic. And after that, it becomes more a way of connecting with yourself, your essence. It can be creativity. It can be inspirational. It can be spiritual in the way of connecting with yourself in that place that's pure and free of all kind of dross.
Okay, thank you. So I have been teaching myself, for about 13 years now, and the last 3, I have been working a lot on recovery, rehabilitation centers here for drug and substance abuse. I wanted to ask you, I've been doing a lot of trauma healing work and it's amazing. I want to ask you, in your years of experience, how do you see breath work, circular breathing, healing trauma? How does it heal trauma?
So if you've had an indignity in the past and it causes you limitation, shame, hiding, what the breath work will do is you can be in that experience because it's in your body. So when you start breathing, it creates very deep hypnotic states inside. It opens your subconscious. So it might reveal the feelings that we have buried about that past indignity. And what the breath does, it gives you more gaps, more space in between the thoughts and the feelings, where you can address it in present time and choose what to do with it, how to feel about it. So what we do is feel about it, because that was what the body wants. If you were in a car accident when you were 6 and no one asked you how you felt in this horrible car accident, they put you in front of the TV with a piece of pizza. So all these feelings are still in your body. Mm-hmm. So what the breath will do is give you more space to feel those feelings and have them integrate, come into balance, where they're no longer tugging at your psyche, which gives you a lot more freedom. So finally, you felt the feelings about the trauma. We didn't hide in guilt and shame if we were touched inappropriately. Here we are talking to our breath coach and being with those thoughts and feelings and owning them in a new way. and being in a desire to integrate them, bring peace into our mind and body about them. And it's more than recovery, it's about healing, because we've been recovering for years and years and years and years. This is about healing and having it add to our experience instead of bringing chaos to our experience, like a pinball bouncing off the bumpers. That can, be a peaceful experience inside. So the breath gives you more space to do that, more of a gap in between those intense thoughts and feelings.
Mm-hmm. So I think we were having a conversation about that before, about the difference between recovery and true healing. So can you say a little bit more about that? The difference about, circling around the same old thoughts.
Recovery,
Go ahead.
my awareness of recovery and being with AA and Narcotics Anonymous and other forms of that is that you're an addict the rest of your days. And they have a wonderful presentation where I can get together with other addicts and pledge my desire to stay clean. And that's very supportive. But this work is about getting beyond recovery and actually healing the feelings that are embedded in my body, in my participation, and why I started drinking or using drugs to start with, to cover up these feelings that I was incomplete about, the verbal abuse I grew up with, the confusing touch I grew up with, these pieces. So healing brings them into balance to where they're no longer tugging with my psyche. It doesn't mean that I'm going to drink wine again. Maybe I could, because I don't have the triggers, but I actually don't want to. It makes me tired. So it just healing is about getting over it.
Okay.
And recovery is about maintaining the behaviors to keep stopping, choosing every day to not drink or do drugs or whatever the behavior be.
Thank you. So, which brings freedom, and it's the topic of today's talk, right? Breathwork and freedom, and how breathwork creates freedom in our minds and within our bodies, in the inner world. And I have experienced so much freedom by using breathwork, and continue to be surprised and astounded by the miracles for myself and my clients. So what other ways does breathwork create freedom in our worlds, and then therefore on the outer world and what we see?
Well, it helps me commit to myself. So commitment and freedom go together. So often in a relationship, we resist being committed. So that's, seems long-term commitment. So if we commit for 2 weeks to a month, that gives us a place to focus of the relationship or of myself. So it gives you a platform to work from, commitment. So I commit to myself to do certain behaviors of personal growth. That could be meditation, that could be eating in a cleaner way. That could be hanging out with people that are life affirming. That could be letting go of some behaviors that I don't like, or aren't supportive, like eating the whole hoagie instead of half of it. So it's like there's a lot of freedom when you do breathe for an hour to an hour and a half. It just opens you up into this vast void and tranquil space. So it gives the body some way of healing itself, its own innate wisdom. It gives the body some real openings to heal itself, instead of my mind bouncing all over the place, negating any high thought that I have, questioning my creativity. It's just like, and sometimes in a breathwork session, there's a pause in my breath, and I could pause 30 seconds to a minute and not breathe and just ride in between these spaces and have little old vignettes of memory, or just being out of my body and spirit, in a way of putting me aside and doing inner healing beyond my present time awareness. Then all of a sudden I'll step back into my body. My breath coach will say, "Take a breath, Tony." And I might have the memory of it, or just come back into my breathing awareness and feel really wonderful, feel more expanded, feel cleaner, feel open.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And for new folks, like we know that we are projecting our inner world out into the world, and so how does then breath work create freedom outside ourselves?
Life's gentleness is what I see. So the more that I heal my inner world, what I noticed, like in 1979, is there was a lot less violence, fighting in my vision, accidents in my vision, upsets in my vision. I mean, this was only the first so many months. It was so obvious. And I was an assistant for 5 years in the S training, they're called Landmark now. So I was around more lifted people, more excited people, more people with goals, and support, mainly support. So life's gentleness started to come into my awareness and vision in a bigger way.
Meaning
And
what you're seeing, what you're experiencing in the world.
yes, we're nicer people, supportive people. A change in my environment. We moved from a 6-bedroom row home that was, well, I think 3,200 feet into 6,500 feet of a large room with 45 windows that are quite big, all looking into greenery, the woods. So there was a change of vision. And this house has a meeting room on the 3rd floor and 3 clawfoot bathtubs, one really big one. So it supports the work we do.
Mm-hmm.
Quite amazing. So it also healed my relationships. My mother said in the beginning, "I don't know what you do, but I know you help people." And then once in the kitchen, she said, "Before you start talking about the world, now you talk about the universe." She didn't know what to do with that, but that kind of expansiveness. We used to do group rebirths on my mother's living room floor. She had Parkinson's and was quite disabled and had one of those automatic chairs you go back on. And a lot of my family would just lay on the floor. My brother and cousins and my mother would lay back in her chair, and we'd have someone in community assist 2 people instead of, and support people laying down. So it was just an enormous change and a big deal and a platform for me to grow and be what I was. I was a therapist since I was 12 because I grew up with immigrants, and they would always ask me questions because I was Americanized.
Mm-hmm.
So I was used to that, answering answering questions besides how to get to the bus stop. You know,
So
what's
thank you.
going on.
Well, something I want to ask you about is your 9-month program. You and Maureen, your wife, have been facilitating the 9-month program for how many years
My head's saying 25,
now? Yeah.
probably longer than that. It started as 3-month rebirthing school, and then I extended it to 6 months. And then we've been in this house 28 years, so it's got to be 25 years of 9 months.
So
And
what is that? What is the 9-month program?
what is it? 1 weekend a month for 9 months, and on a different topic each month. And why I like long-term programs is because it, besides being informational, educational, and it's a personal growth and rebirthing, uh, how to learn to be a breath coach, a rebirther. It's about relationship. Being with people for 9 months brings up what's going on with you in reference to relationship. Who you like, who you don't like, why that is. Who's in your clique of people that you talk to all the time and who's not. And it's an amazing healing about in personal growth and about relationships. So we start with conception, the first month, how we start things, and actually our own conception that we might know something about. And then maybe the second month is about the techniques of breath work. And another month could be about communication and forgiveness. And another month can be about longevity skills. So each month has a topic, and we build on that. And there's a group rebirth on Friday night after sharing and whatever Maureen and I introduce. I'm clicking something off. And then there's a paired exchange on Saturday and Sunday. So you get a breathwork partner, you rebirth your partner rebirths you. And for people that want to become rebirthers, and even in the personal growth, it's an enormous venue to watch someone else breathe and getting breath work from many different people. It really expands the possibilities. And then we share after about what happened in that experience, which expands what could happen and the possibilities, the healing, the feelings, whatever went on. So we do that for 9 months, and we keep doing it. And we'll start again in September. So and we have a really nice body of interest.
So you have it once a year, right?
Every year, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Every
Yeah,
year.
it is wonderful. I participated in one in 2003, I want to say. Highly recommend. On that topic, I want to ask your opinion about this because I have, as a matter of fact, somebody just texted me today about breathwork trainings. You know, people want to become breathworkers, and I personally don't feel a big yes to create any breath workers program here in South Florida. I do want to create like an online breathwork program basic, but and I don't believe that someone becomes a breath worker in the week training. What would you say for people who are like, hey, I really love this and I want to become a breath worker. I can't, fly to Philadelphia every month for 9 months and they don't live near you. I mean, what should they do?
Well, you can do Skype participation, which is a possibility. It's one way that is one way of being there, that distance doesn't have to be a limitation. And we've had many people fly in every month So if you're not able to fly in, Maureen, my wife, is very good at networking and recommending. And, it's always, be open to the possibilities
Right.
of what could happen. So,
Well, would you say they have to start like getting their sessions, private sessions, get themselves, some private
what
sessions
we
first?
say, yes, we suggest 10 sessions with one gender, 10 sessions with the other. But also in any kind of teaching, it's about staying in an integrity with your teaching and staying in community with other breath workers. Because if a practitioner is doing, say, one weekend and gets really excited about it and adds to their repertoire of what they do, if they're not getting rebirth themselves, and if they're not participating, they sort of burn out. They might, oh, this doesn't feel good anymore, and just go on with the next thing.
Yeah, I
So
have
being
witnessed.
connected.
Thank you for saying that. I have witnessed that. People who don't stay in community and get support from us breath workers, they start to get burned out. It's very true.
Who do you talk to about some enormous experience that you witnessed that may be triggered? You need to talk to another rebirth or a breath worker. You need to stay in contact. You need connection.
Right.
That's what community is about. Like you and I are at a distance, but we're still in community. We're enormously connected. I don't know how much enormous could be.
Mm-hmm.
We're connected, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So people that are out there as independents, that we can stay connected through what we're doing here,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes mentor them. It's called mentoring.
Okay, thank you. So, what kinds of things have you seen people healed from breath work? And we're starting to finish our interview here today. Like, what are like some things that people can look forward to? People who are suffering from depression, addiction. I don't know. What else have you seen people heal from?
We can use the word everything.
Everything.
All phenomena is possible. All phenomena can be when you witness someone in a breathwork session. So when they come in with the intention, say, of healing something physically, there is the possibility of spontaneous remission, but it's also supporting that person in being patient with their body's acclimation to something new, and that's wellness. Because we're not used to wellness. We're used to, being upset or complaining or having, manifestations in the theater of our body, whatever's going on in our minds. Or we have a belief about heredity. If mom had diabetes, I'm very likely to have diabetes, or Crohn's, whatever those things can be. Or some incident in the past that there's a belief system you'll never get over. You'll never get over being violently raped, or the loss of a child, or a death of a loved one. And yes, it is possible to find gratitude and innocence in our history and getting over it. So, I teach about being patient and giving it a couple of years, not a week and 2 weeks and a month, and it might not take a couple of years.
Beautiful. Thank you. So it is possible to heal from anything, and
Anything.
anything.
We have demonstrations beyond rebirthing, religious demonstrations, medical demonstrations, spontaneous remission. It doesn't have to make sense,
Right.
but everything has been healed. All miracles have happened, if it's called a miracle.
Yeah.
One word of milagro to put it.
Yeah, and it has been, you know, scientifically proven. I have been reading a lot about that, the science behind how all illness comes from early childhood trauma, the imprint in the subconscious, and how it affects the physical body, and how breath work addresses that directly. And I am really looking forward to seeing breath work going mainstream.
It is
And
more and more.
yeah, and be more accessible to people to find a breath worker and have trust in this modality and not be intimidated by it or have any apprehension, you know?
Some people, there might be a little tentative when something in their consciousness knows that this is about healing because they're used to recovering. They're used to Band-Aid therapy, massage, or having something, you know, being settled down temporarily. This is about healing. And when we heal, there are things externally that might change. You know, the visuals we see, the people in our lives, the circumstances. And that can be scary to people. So along with healing, when you get better, you might have to get a job.
Yes, yes. Do you really want change, right?
You might have to do the dishes, you know, if you're out of your wheelchair. Hey, they did studies with spontaneous remission in Lourdes and Fatima. And it was within a couple of years, the people would create the same or a different disorder because they were in a wheelchair for so long, they didn't know how to be responsible by getting a job again or by having to do the dishes or clean up.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm just
more
being
respectful to
Thank you. I have just gotten
the person.
reminded right now. I started my breathwork sessions by asking my clients, like, how free do you want to be? And then this one client really took on that question and he started to ask every day, well, how free do I want to be? And his progress was amazing,
Yes.
you know? So, so I love our conversation, and you're so awesome. And thank you so much for being on the planet and not giving up on breath work and doing this for 38 years. I am very, very grateful to you.
Best
And
more of me.
and so breath work and freedom. How free do we really want to be? So just wrapping it up here, I think you mentioned it, and I want to just emphasize, because I loved what you said about freedom and commitment, right? Is that what you said?
Very cool.
Hmm?
Yes. When you
So
commit to something, it gives you freedom. And
commitment
pay
gives you
for it.
freedom. Commitment gives you freedom. So how free
Yes.
do we want to be, and how committed do we want to be? What are we committed to? It's a question I've been asking in the morning. Well, what am I committed to today?
Well, I write it down and then make sure my behavior goes along with what I'm writing, my goals.
So do you have any final thoughts to end our session today? Anything you want to end with?
Something I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for the goodness in my life and the expansion of it. And the years I've had with this work and knowing my wife and you, Sula. I'm grateful for what it's given me. I
Thank
love gratitude.
Same here. I am extremely grateful for you. Particularly, I mean, you helped me heal so many aspects of my life, but a lot of the masculine, a lot of the father figure stuff. Thank you for not buying into my insanity in the beginning and not letting me project my father stuff onto you. So I'm very, very grateful to you.
A big welcome.
And Maureen. Thank you, Maureen, so much. Um, I want to say that I want to continue doing these interviews with breath workers around the country. Our colleagues, Juliana Erickson is going to be our next one, talking about forgiveness. And Yeah. So thank you so much. Looking forward to next time. Tony, where in Philadelphia is your center?
Say again?
Where in
You're breaking
Philadelphia?
up. Say again?
Where in Philadelphia is your center?
We're at the very end of North Philadelphia in the East Oak Lane section. It's a very old section with big old houses.
Yeah.
And the house is, a community center. There's, I think, 15 beds.
Okay. And what is your website?
PhiladelphiaRebirthing.com. The
Philadelphia.
word all spelled out.
Okay. PhiladelphiaRebirthing.com. And I am Sula DePaula, and mine is SulaDePaula.com. Thank you so much, Tony. I look forward to talking to you very soon.
Again, yes.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Namaste.